Dear future husband, thank you. I don't know you yet. I don't think we've met, but it makes sense why I didn't get married in college. I'm officially a college graduate. I got a real big girl job in Ohio, even further away from family, but maybe we'll meet in Ohio? Maybe.
Hi, it's Bailey with She Said Yes, a podcast about getting married. Planning a wedding isn't just about the bride and groom. We've got to think about the guest, too. They were good enough to come out and support us, so at least we can do is make sure they have a good time. That's exactly what our guests are here to do today. I don't want to spoil anything because there's some pretty talented people here today. So if you want to hear about them, you'll have to stick around.
Dear future husband, I love you, and don't worry, I'll say yes.
She Said Yes is presented by White of Dublin. To learn more about how they make your wedding dress experience comfortable, personal, and all about you, visit whitebridalboutiques.com. A few weeks ago, we talked about making sure we had a good photographer to help us remember our big day. But sometimes you just want to take a silly one.
I had graduated from OSU and I was looking for a photo booth for my graduation party. It was really hard to come by. It's kind of scarce in Columbus.
That's what Crystal and Emmanuel are here for.
So we came across a supplier and I told him about it. He was all for it and we started this photo booth business. So the first kickoff was my graduation party. Ever since then, we've done weddings, graduations, parties, birthdays, everything. It's been super fun.
When it comes to this photo booth, it's like a journey in our relationship, how it's grown over the years, just from we went on vacations together, going out on dinner dates. So it's just something added onto our relationship to go on our entrepreneurship journey together.
Crystal and Emmanuel are the co-owners of CP Photo Booths here in Columbus. They offer premium, fully customizable photo booth experience for weddings, baby showers, and other special events. They've been in the business for 2 years now. They've become one of the premier photo booth rental services in the city for their delivery and customizational options.
Ours is like a selfie booth, so it's standing there with you. So when you're looking at yourself taking a selfie, it's a little bit more fun. But you can still include the props. You can still include filters. We're able to customize all of that.
So are you able to also customize it for like let's say your wedding colors, or if you guys, like if a couple has a wedding hashtag or a funny saying, are you guys able to incorporate that?
Yes, fully customizable to the overlay, to your tap to start screen that will be displayed. It's one thing I will say is like each event is unique.
I just want to pause here on the customizable part. When they say customizable, they don't just mean the props for the booth, they mean everything. I'll just let Crystal and Emmanuel tell you.
Yeah, we have 2 booths, and in total we have 3 packages. So we have our digital booth, which is typically for your birthdays, your events outside of your typical wedding. And we also have our pro booth, which comes with our photo book, our prints. And then we have our CPX, the CP Experience, which is our pro booth, but with everything in a bundle.
You said you do actual hard copies there on site, and then do you do digital copies as well?
Yes. Yeah. So with digital copies, that goes for all of our photo booths. You would take your photo or your capture, whichever one you take, and then you can text it, airdrop it, email, or QR code it. Yeah.
Look at you guys. Fancy.
Yeah. So you can customize it. Yes. With the hashtag on there too. So we can do custom messaging. So we do all of the graphic design customizations,
Amazing.
Thanks to Canva. But we enjoy,
Canva.
but yeah, we do all the customizations. You just tell us your colors. If you have any pictures, we'll include that. And then we take it from there.
These booths are made to order for your event. Crystal and Emmanuel take great care to make sure each one is exactly what their client wants, so it doesn't feel weird to have a photo booth at their event. It actually feels like it was meant to be there. So kind of talk us a little bit about how, what kind of support and assistance that you guys have being on there, being on site, heaven forbid something bad happens to the machine, but also what are some of the other
Technical difficulties.
Yes, right. Yes, especially for like our Pro booth, which is the one with our studio light. It comes with prints. So for that, we want you to have kind of like a hands-free experience. So we are there as booth hosts, which is what we call it. But what we do, we stand by the booth as guests come, take pictures. We kind of guide them, show them what to do. We'll hand you your prints on that. But we also include a memory book for some of our packages. So if you would like your guests to leave a picture and leave a message, we can do that as well. So we kind of leave it for a hands-free experience with our Pro booth package.
And we're very big on preparation, so we'll actually run it at our residence before your event. And then we're also precautionary in arriving at your event early so that we can run it through.
Is there any sort of like requirements for spacing, or can it be outside?
Yeah, I would say it can be outside. We just require that there's an overhead covering. Mm-hmm. Space-wise, 10 by 10 is 8 to 10, and then minimum 5 by 5. Yeah, so we don't take too much of space. Yeah, right. So we fit seamlessly.
I hope most wedding venues have that kind of space.
Yes.
Crystal and Emmanuel are committed to making sure that their guests enjoy their experience, and they're even willing to travel to make it happen. You mentioned travel. So do you guys travel? What do you guys have? We can only travel so far. How big are the photo booths? Like, do they fit in a car? Do you need like a big old truck?
Yes, we take pride because the photo booths can fit in a Fiat 500, if you know that car. It can fit in a buggy if you really wanted to. But yes, we travel anywhere outside of 30 miles of Central Ohio. Out of state we can do too, but then of course we'll just go based off of whatever travel fee that is as far as flight and accommodations. But yes, we travel. Ultimately, it's your day, right? In finding a photo booth that makes it customizable and unique to you is super important. And we take pride in walking you every step of the way, making sure that your pictures are on there, making sure the messaging is on there to just make it a memorable experience. And of course, during the day of, we try to make it as stress-free as possible. Photo booth should be the last thing you're stressed about. So I think when choosing a photo booth, making sure that the memories you want to create, that photo booth is able to create it. And then, I don't know if we mentioned this, but we also have a live gallery link that is sent to you. So all of the digital captures you get, it's like an online album that you get for all of that. So, yeah, like a guest book. Yeah, digital souvenir. So we really take pride in making sure that even though you make the memories and it's super great that day, but they last forever. It really doesn't expire. So you can find us at www.cp, as in Paul, cppphotobooth.com. And then as far as social media handles, we are on Instagram and Facebook at CP Booths with an S. Yeah, you can see all the fun, the magic, and find everything you need.
Crystal and Emmanuel, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to celebrate with you and my guests at the wedding. It's going to be so much fun. Taking pictures is cool and everything, and I'm super excited to have a photo booth at the reception. But back before you could just take a photo of something, the closest thing you had was to get a portrait. Yes, one of those super elegant portraits. And there are still a few people in the world who carry on that beautiful tradition.
My background is in fine art and graphic design. I went to school for fine art and painting back when I graduated high school in 2004, and then transitioned to graphic design, and that was my career for about 10 years.
This is Rachel from Rachel Girt Art, and she is a live event painter.
And then I became a stay-at-home mom, and then started looking for ways to get my creativity back, and scrolling Instagram, I found live event painting and live wedding painting, and I'd never heard of it before, but it looked like the coolest thing I had ever seen. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could do that.
Rachel is a trained painter with a unique focus. She comes out to live events such as birthdays, galas, and of course, weddings, and actually paints a portrait of the event as it happens. It's a really unique and beautiful way to memorialize an event, and she even brought a catalog so Matt and I could take a look at her beautiful work. stunning. First off,
thank you.
stunning work, absolutely incredible. How does that go through your mind? What is your process?
Well, when speaking with the bride and groom before the wedding, it's usually about a month before, I start to get a composition in mind so I know what I'm looking for that day. And but part of the reason I get there so early is because I spend that time coming up with the composition, which is where everything's going to be placed on the canvas. And so I spend a lot of time with the drawing beforehand. So by the time the guests get there, I'm really just doing the line work, so basically drawing the picture with paint. So then all of the details afterwards for the flowers and the venue and all that will come at home because that's not as important. But as long as they get the gist of it with the color and the composition, then it all works out.
Rachel's been doing this for 2 years now, but if you look at the body of her work, you would have never expected that she just started 2 years ago. It looks like she's been doing this her whole entire life.
I was very nervous the first time, but after that first wedding, I realized, you know what? Everybody, they really like watching this. Like, not a lot of people understand, what, all goes into the painting and the process. They don't see what I see as far as like, oh, that's a mistake. They don't see that. Yeah. And it's a lot of kids, a lot of grandparents and people that come up and they love watching. I had several times where kids will come up and then they'll run away and then they'll pull up like every family member. They'll go running back and forth. They'll pull up this aunt and that aunt and the cousins and the grandma, and everybody just loves it. And it's more of a entertainment aspect to it. And then the fine art really comes in the details afterwards.
Rachel says a lot of her job is actually being an entertainer to the wedding guests. The portraits she makes are beautiful and important, but it's more often than not that the bride and groom are the last people to see them. So the people who really end up enjoying her work are the rest of the guests.
The grandparents especially love seeing artwork. They always have stories about, when I was younger, I used to do this, or my friend did that, and I used to paint to Bob Ross, or, it's just fun, and it gives them a chance to talk to somebody who isn't familiar with them, and they don't have to get wrapped up in family drama or any of that.
Has there been one specific memory or one specific wedding that has really stuck out that was really like, why don't you share that with us?
So all of the weddings are very special and unique in their own ways. But there's little moments here and there at different weddings that I'll always remember. And one of them, this past summer, I was working on the painting during the reception, and this group of older relatives, I would say grandpa, great uncle, great aunt, late 70s or so. And they came up and they were you could see them looking at the painting from across the room, and they slowly started inching their way closer and closer until they were pretty close. And I was like, yeah, go ahead, take a look, and I invited them over. And one of them pulled out his phone and he's fumbling with it, and then he held it up like he was taking a picture, and then this giant grin spread across his face, and he was so happy he got a picture of it. And then one of the other gentlemen that were with him, he came over and he told me, he was like, that is the first time he's ever taken a picture on his cell phone. And I was like, oh, and that was for the painting I did. It was probably his granddaughter's wedding or something like that, which I thought was so special that he wanted a picture of the painting, in that moment.
For Rachel, the joy isn't just in painting the happy couple. She really enjoys being able to bring joy to the rest of the wedding as well.
I'll show up very early to get set up during the day, at least 2 or 3 hours before the ceremony. Wow. And we'll have a consultation call with the bride and groom beforehand to see what they want for the painting. So it is fully customizable. Whatever they want, whoever they want in it, whatever background, whatever scene, pose, etc. So they will pick, a scene such as a first dance or a first kiss, perhaps the ceremony exit that they want, but they're also, a lot of people don't know what they want, so we'll decide on the day. So we'll get to the wedding. I'll start painting the background of the venue for whichever scene they chose. And then after the ceremony, I like to pull them aside when they're getting their professional photos done, and then I'll get my reference photo for them for their portrait. And so that way it's during the photos and it's done, out of the way, and they don't have to worry about it the rest of the night. So then I take that photo back and then I use that to paint their portrait on the painting in front of the guests during the reception. And then by the end of the reception, the painting is probably anywhere between 50 to 70% done. And so sometimes people choose to do like a grand reveal moment with the photographers and the videographer, and it's really cool. A lot of excitement, especially for the guests. And then I will take the painting home and I'll finish it within a month or two, and then it'll be delivered to their doorstep.
Because she uses reference photos to finish her work, Rachel's able to add elements that aren't even at the venue.
It's so funny. Groomsmen come over all the time, and they're like, "Hey, can you add me in there? Or can you put this in there? Can you add a cat on the side? Or
Would
can you
be
add
funny, but
yeah." And people that's one of their requests is, can I add in my pet or my grandparents have passed away or this, that, and the other? And yes, as long as I have a photo of whatever you want to add, then yes, I can add it in.
That's awesome.
So that's
really
another
cool.
aspect to customize it. The smallest canvas size is an 11 by 14. And the biggest that I have available is a 24 by 36. I can go a little bit bigger if needed, but it's pretty big to start with, and I would just need a bigger car to fit in it. But yeah.
So where can we find you? How far in advance do they need to book you? And then along with booking, where can they book you? Where can they find your beautiful artwork? Shamelessly tell us everywhere we can find you.
Oh, thanks. So you want to reach out as soon as you know the date and you have booked your venue. So we need to have a solid date and venue so that doesn't change. Or if you're planning and you just kind of want to put it on my radar that you're looking and it may be in this month, I can let you know what my current availability is, and then that can help guide you on which date you pick. But the sooner the better. And you can find all of the information and examples of my paintings on my website, which is rachelgoodart.com, RACHELGOODART.com. And I also post a lot on my Instagram, which is at rachelgood_art.
Rachel, you truly have a spectacular and unique talent. It's so cool to see you using it to make newlyweds and their families so happy. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with us today. You may have noticed that the music in today's episode is a little different. That's because a few of them are the original recordings from our third and final guest today. We are here with Miss Olivia, the harpist extraordinaire. Olivia, okay, I'm so excited to talk to you, to hear about your passion, to hear how you mentioned 3 harps.
Yes.
So let's dig into this. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about where this harp desire came from and how it adds such a special touch to so many people's weddings. Why don't you? I'm just so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here today. So you asked about the start of my harp journey, and really that is a story that began when I was 3 years old. I started asking for a harp teacher when I was 3, and so from that moment, I remember just being little, standing next to Mom in the kitchen, begging her to please find me a teacher.
This is Olivia, and she is a professional harpist.
When I was 8, Mom finally found my harp teacher, Candace Dunham. She's a renowned harp teacher. She's phenomenal. And I've been with her ever since, so 16 and a half years.
Wow.
I actually started playing professionally for events when I was 11. So I played my first wedding when I was 11. I'll never forget that day. Oh. It was just...
Olivia has been playing the harp for a long time, and she is really, really good. She is trained in both classical and Celtic traditions and also has received several awards of her performances at state and national levels. In addition to being a talented harpist, Olivia is also a small business owner, a baker, and above all, a really fun person to talk to. Do they have names?
Yes.
Okay, please share these names. That is very important. You can't bury the lead.
All 3 of my harps have names. My mom really, really wanted my first harp to be named after me because of how the harp was built and why it was built. And so my harp teacher's husband actually builds harps.
Whoa, that's so cool.
Yes, they are the coolest people ever. And he hand-painted my name on the soundboard. And then my second harp, it was actually just yesterday, 8 years ago, that I received that harp. And her name is Anne, spelled with an E. I'm a kindred spirit, so if you know Anne of Green Gables. Yes, somebody knows. Awesome.
That is my fiance's favorite book.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. Okay, playing for your wedding. That is awesome. And then in a total unexpected act of God, over just the last 48 hours, I went up north yesterday with my dad and found Diana, which is Anne's best friend, in Anne of Green Gables. So I have an Anne and a Diana.
Right from when she stepped into the studio, you could tell that Olivia loves to bring joy to people through her words and music. And after talking to her about her wedding experiences, there was no question that's what she was created to do.
I have never been anywhere where I thought the harp will not fit here. Like, it really, there's nowhere that you can't take the harp and its capabilities. So, obviously the harp is not everybody's go-to favorite thing ever. I have actually met a couple of people who are like, I really can't stand the harp. I'm like, that's fine. That's totally fine. It's not your jam. But for the most part, people are fascinated by it. It's a gorgeous instrument. Mm-hmm. Just looking at it, you're like, whoa, look what just came into the room.
Do you have a rough estimate of how many weddings you think you've played?
Oh, goodness.
I know, like the tough question.
I have no idea. I just know that events as a whole has always been a passion. Mm-hmm. So, events, like hundreds of events.
That's amazing. Sure. Olivia mentioned she's been playing events since she was 11 years old. So it's not surprising that she's been to all kinds. She's played at festivals, parties, and even funerals. But her favorite by far is weddings.
I can do anything. I can play from anything, like you said, from an elopement in somebody's backyard to a giant church wedding or, on stage somewhere. Doesn't matter. The harp's got it.
Let's say you show up, it's the wedding day, it's the best day ever. What does that look like for you as a harpist with this huge instrument and all this kind of stuff? Do you have a certain dress code? What does that kind of look like?
I'm a huge advocate for personal relationships with people. I want to know who you are. I want to know what makes you the person that you are. I want to know what makes you the special person that God made you to be. So I translate that into my couples as well. I actually have them come to my house and pick out music specifically for their day from my repertoire. They have free reign to call me, text me whenever they want. If they're like, hey, I have a question and it has nothing to do with music, I'm your girl. Just call me up and say, hey, I need flowers or whatever I need. They can come to me because I've got a little group of people who are just phenomenal wedding vendors. So people that I love to recommend, genuine people.
Olivia wants to get to know her couples beyond business relationships. She's incredibly sweet and loves to serve the people she works with in any way that she can. And that means paying a special attention to their musical requests too. If they're hiring you to do their wedding, do you just play during their ceremony? Do you play before and after? What does that kind of look like as well?
So it'll include a half-hour prelude and then all of the music for anybody walking down that aisle. Anybody, your moms, your grandmas, flower girls, whoever it is walking down the aisle, I play for them. I usually do the postlude, so everybody going back down the aisle. And then kind of like that's a recessional actually, I should say. And then a postlude after that for about 10 to 15 minutes, so it's not awkward. Now, if somebody wants me to play a reception, absolutely. Like I said, I can play for hours at a time, no big deal. So whatever they want, I'm down for it. If they can give me 6 months to a year, that's awesome because then I've got you locked in. If you give me 2 months, I'll still make it happen. If you give me 2 weeks, I'll still make it happen.
There we go.
Because I guess in all of the aspects of my life, the various things that I do, you don't look for an excuse for how not to do something. You look for a way to make it happen.
It's clear that Olivia loves what she does, and she wants nothing more to bring joy to the people through her music.
I always arrive at least an hour early to let the harp acclimate to the surroundings.
What does that mean? Can you dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the harp especially is very, very dependent on weather and humidity. It's made out of wood and strings. So those all get changed by the weather and humidity. So then after I let it sit for half an hour or so, then I tune the instrument, make sure it's all sounding really great, and then I'll go into playing. If I'm playing outdoors, you never know. It's Ohio, so a lot of times it's raining. But thankfully, my harps are very well accustomed to being in various environments. My one harp is made out of Ohio cherry, so it's used to the crazy weather patterns that we have.
Okay, that's crazy. I had no idea harps required so much attention and care. But apparently, they're a lot more human than I ever would have thought.
the harps kind of do have their own personalities. And though they're not human, I understand that. One of my harps, Anne, is a little bit jealous of the other two.
Yes, I love this.
She will actually break strings if I do not pay enough attention to her in 1 week. And I'm not joking. This has happened multiple times to me. And I talked to my teacher about it because I was like, is this for real? And she's like, oh yeah, it's the real thing. I don't know what it is about her, but she's the one who came from New Mexico 8 years ago. And I don't know, she just kind of has a little bit of an edge to her. So the other ones will just sit there and wait their turn. She just really needs a lot of attention.
I'm obsessed. I love it so much. Olivia says she can travel just about anywhere, even outside of the state of Ohio, and she loves doing events across the country.
So on Facebook, it's under Olivia Claggett, and that's just kind of my special little group of my little wolf pack, I guess you could say, of people. And I've met tons of people through that. Absolutely love it. I'm on Instagram, Sharon Valley Harp, and then also my YouTube channel, Sharon Valley Harp, where you can listen to me. And then my website, SharonValleyHarp.com, kind of pulls all of that together. So it's got YouTube clips on there, and then my phone number, my email, all of that kind of information. You can send me a direct contact form, anything and everything. You can call me up and say, hey, I'm a complete stranger. Can you play for my wedding? You got this. I like anything. I am very, very open to talking to anybody anytime about the harp, as you can tell.
Olivia, you've been such a blessing to have in the studio. Thank you so much for telling us all about your beautiful instruments and how they can bring joy and a sparkle to a wedding. I'm so grateful that we have met each other. Now, while Olivia plays us out, this feels like the perfect time to tell you that our next episode will also be all about music. We're going to be meeting with a DJ and a live band to talk about how we can get our guests onto that dance floor. It's going to be so much fun, and I hope you join us. Until then, I'm Bailey, and thanks for listening to She Said Yes. She Said Yes is presented by White of Dublin. To learn more about how they make your wedding dress experience comfortable, personal, and all about you, visit whitebridalboutiques.com. Produced and distributed by River Radio Ministries. To find more podcasts like this one, visit riverradio.com. Make sure you follow us wherever you're listening now, and if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend so they can listen too.